Hi guys, so I'm here today with another collection video. Honestly, these are just such a good video for me to film whilst I'm feeling kind of ill, and you seem to like them, so I thought I would do my vintage Red Spine editions on this occasion. I have 11 Red Spine editions from Vintage Classics, and in these editions they publish both older classics as well as what they would consider modern classics. So I have a mixture of both. Let's dive straight into it, shall we? So the first book I have is actually an ARC. It is an uncorrected proof from Vintage rather than the final edition, and it is The Power of the Dog by Thomas Savage, which is to be released soon as a Vintage classic. It is about two brothers who live on a ranch together, even sharing the same room. One of the brothers falls in love, which makes the other brother resentful, so he tries to kind of destroy this relationship, and I think it's quite creepy. I've yet to read it yet, but I am excited to. We then have the first of my two W. Somerset Maugham books. This is the one I haven't read, and it is The Painted Veil, and it is about a woman who is having an affair and her husband finds out, so he decides to take her with him on his travels to treat illnesses in China, where a cholera epidemic is swarming the country. My next W. Somerset Maugham is The Magician, and I have read this one. I really enjoyed this book. It's set in Paris at the turn of the century, the beginning of the 20th century that is, and it is about a young couple who meet this strange man who is a magician, and he starts to tear their life apart essentially. It is really fantastic, really loved this book. I then have Angela Carter's The Bloody Chamber and Other Stories, and these are all retellings of traditional fairy tales by Angela Carter, including the myth of Bluebeard, which is the title story. There's Little Red Riding Hood and a selection of other tales in there. Absolutely adore this book. Love Angela Carter's writing, it's stunning. Would highly recommend checking this one out. I then have John Fowles The Collector, which I read recently, and this is about a young man who becomes obsessed with a young woman, and he decides to kidnap her and keep her in a basement. He, in his spare time, likes to collect butterflies, so that's where the title comes from. He kind of collects this woman, he wants her to fall in love with him, but he really has no idea what he is doing. He is a complete sociopath, and it is a fantastic book. We then have Les Enfants Terribles by Jean Cocteau. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. I recently acquired this one and I have not read it yet. And then the last 5 were released this year by Vintage, and they're all modern Scottish classics, and I've read one of these, but I will show you them all. I have Alan Warner's Morven Collar, which I actually have read the first few pages of. I have just started this one. It is about a young woman whose boyfriend commits suicide and her strange way of dealing with that. Then the one I have read, and I'm sure you've all heard me talk about, is John Burnside's The Dumb House. This book was amazing, one of my favourite books this year. It is about a man who is obsessed with the innateness of speech and conducts experiments on his own two twins to see if they will end up creating their own language despite never having heard humans speak before. It's really disturbing and really amazing. I then have Janice Galloway's The Trick is to Keep Breathing. All of these editions have different illustrators, do the different authors, so there's some really gorgeous art amongst these editions. Then we have Swing Hammer Swing by Jeff Torrington, and this one's about a week in a Glasgow slum. This is a really excellent example of the beautiful artwork you find on some of these vintage editions. It's also set in the 1960s. And the last one is A.L. Kennedy's Paradise. And this is about a woman who is about to turn 40 and feels she has nothing to show for her life, so decides to go travelling and kind of find herself. Does sound a little bit Eat, Pray, Love to me, although this was written first, I believe, and I actually have no idea if they're similar at all because I haven't read this one yet, but that is what comes to mind when I read the back. Anyway, those are all of my vintage Red Spine editions at the moment, that is. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye!